We'll get straight down to some reviews. We'll start with a film that we saw Wednesday night. Keep forgetting. Wednesday night. The brand new film from Ridley Scott and Matt Damon. This is The Martian.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't look at Matt Damon the same way. There's just so many things along his career. It's like, how do you like them apples? And then,
Yeah. Thank you, Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
For many things. Yeah. Anyway, Ryan, are you good for The Martian?
Yeah.
However.
So, John Wick plays Keanu. no. I'm just going flashbacks because I've got a cough today. But obviously, last time we had a film that was very similar to this, didn't we? With Interstellar last year.
Mm-hmm.
A very similar man in space going on a big adventure. Very similar, and there are definitely similarities. There's literally a docking scene.
There's like the whole sort of spacecraft shots. It's like
it very much feels like that. But most of the time, it's the complete opposite because it's not dour and.
Mumbly.
I mean, it is awe-inspiring, but it's not in the way that Interstellar was, and it's also not got that sort of soundtrack that we expect from someone like Hans Zimmer now, where you sort of get that feeling, I guess, like it's more like getting like vibrated essentially, like
you just get like grabbed by the shoulder.
Like, it's more like you're getting just shook, like instead of like this time we had a soundtrack that was more like Guardians of the Galaxy essentially with that 70s-esque vibe. So basically, obviously, this is the next Ridley Scott film after last year, Exodus, Gods and Kings, which we reviewed in our podcast. Not really up to scratch, was it? No, it was roundly sort of terrible in pretty much every way. So even Sigourney Weaver, poor girl.
And Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley.
And Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley. They were just afterthoughts basically in this movie. But this time he's gone to sort of he's gone back to his roots. I guess that's the best way to say it, because if you ask people what films has Ridley Scott directed in the past, they will say right off the bat, Alien, Blade Runner. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they will automatically think of his sci-fi sort of roots, and obviously recently 3 years ago had Prometheus as well, which was obviously incredibly divisive, but still.
Of which there will be a sequel, which is not called Prometheus 2. It's
now called Alien Paradise Lost, which is. I mean, I thought he was trying to distance it from all of the
really stupid
Ridley,
title.
But I think that essentially he has gone back to his roots and he's done it well, because you really do. I was saying to Liam on the way back that you really do get that some sort of isolation that you find in Alien in a lot of the scenes here, like in the space especially, just the sort of hard edges and sort of the silence, and just, I really do feel like a bit of echo in that. You really do feel like he's sort of going back and like, right, this is what I'm good at, this is what I know, and this is what I'm going to sort of utilise to be a good filmmaker again, because he has seemingly lost his edge. Obviously there was films like Kingdom of Heaven, which was the Counselor,
roundly panned.
Yeah. Obviously that aren't everybody's favourite films, they're very, very divisive, or at least not very well loved. This time he has made something which is a lot more accessible, but in the same time it's really not, because they've clearly got a massive partnership with NASA here. So all of the space, I can't even say jargon, can I? It's space intel. Like it is proper scientific fact that probably all of the calculations that have been worked on and all of the mumbo jumbo and sort of the technical aspects of the film will have been verified by NASA to at least make it plausible enough to sort of exist in that sort of world. Ridley Scott, obviously, he's back for me now, because it's really good. I really enjoyed this. I was one of the few who like Prometheus, so I mean obviously it did have massive.
I like Prometheus.
It had massive problems, like including the guy who decided to take his helmet off in the place where there was a bunch of.
And of course, there's the big thing.
You know what?
Running a straight line.
You know what? I'm on an alien planet. Well, we've spent like 10 minutes here. I'm going to take my helmet off and pet this snake alien thing, because that's a good idea. And obviously the Prometheus school of running away from things.
There was the character called Milburn who died first.
Yeah, but that's.
Cheers, Ridley.
Yep, cheers, Red.
Well, there you go. Ridley Scott hates our host.
And that's the thing, he's from the northeast, so you thought you'd give us a little bit of sympathy.
And that's what he's did.
Obviously not.
Ridley Scott sips his whiskey. There you go.
He's a cool guy. I was watching an interview with him last night. He's a really cool guy. He's a typical Geordie bloke. It's mad. Well, he's from South Shield, so he's not technically a Geordie, but you get the idea.
You get the gist.
He's a cool guy though.
Yeah. So it's the adaptation, The Martian, of a 2011 book by Andy Weir. I went into this knowing literally nothing.
Because you closed your eyes.
Because the very first
every trailer.
Yeah,
it got a bit embarrassing towards the end, to be honest.
Well, I was told that by you two actually, that it was an extremely spoiler-heavy trailer, so avoid it at all costs. You caved after the first time. We avoided it for quite a while actually, until the start.
I was sitting there with my hands over my eyes, thinking, "How weird! This is like a full screening of people. They're all looking at me, going, hands over my eyes." to watch it.
There was like beginning of September. That's when we finally saw it for the first time. But I avoided that by putting my hands over my eyes because I will want spoilers. And now that I've looked back and seen the trailer, it is very, very spoilery. So I think I made a good decision there. So I'm glad I did that. But it is sort of. It's not the fact that I avoided all of it, so I had no expectations. But it's not that fact. It's the fact that obviously with Ridley Scott's sort of poor recent form, I guess that's the way to put it.
Yeah.
He has sort of the expectations were lowered, but this is going back to his roots. So I was expecting a little bit, but I've only seen the promo posters, and I found out who was in the cast list essentially by hearing their voices in the trailers and looking at IMDb. But I didn't know anything about the plot or anything at all. Supposedly this is a very, very faithful adaptation of the book because the book is spoken in first person, like he addresses the audience. And what surprised me the most about this film is just how funny and sort of warm it is. That's the biggest difference to see something like Interstellar, where there is a lot of sort of that detachment from the fact that well he's lost in space, I'm going to have to keep the hopes up, and it's not all abandoned, because Matt Damon is definitely one of the last true movie stars alongside Tom Cruise, which we've discussed a lot about. He is one of those last people where he can put his face on a poster, which Martian does, and be like, right, it's Matt Damon.
Front and centre.
Matt Damon sells. Bring him home. Matt Damon sells a film. He's a man who can sell a film, so he does that really well. But if you don't know the story, basically it follows a cast of characters on board the ship the Hermes, which is basically the new sort of expedition to Mars. And Matt Damon plays a botanist called Mark Watney. The mission goes awry, and he's left behind. He's hit by a bit of debris, which impales him and sort of covers him in dust, so they can't find him, and it breaks his senses, so they can't read his vitals and think he's dead. So he's presumed dead and left behind. He then has to survive by sort of using his own wit and ingenuity to grow potatoes and grow his own food and water, and basically survive until they can come back in 4 years' time. Obviously, it is a very harsh environment on Mars, so they have to signal to Earth that he's alive somehow. And when they find out that he's still alive, they have to collaborate around and find out how to get him home. The biggest thing The Martian has going for it is the fact that it does have such a solid cast, because everybody sparkles in their own way. Even the people who don't get much screen time as well, like Kristen Wiig. Like, I'd read a little bit that she was supposedly not meant to be in it at all. Like one or two scenes, but she's in a decent bit. Like, she brings enough as a senior officer within there. Obviously, her and Jeff Daniels play the sort of the senior heads of NASA, so they get plenty of screen time compared to what I was expecting. So you get plenty of time with them, and they're both very good. Jeff Daniels is sort of, he's not the antagonist, but he's sort of the one who's like who's got the sensibilities.
Likeable.
Yeah, he's not helping, and obviously you've got the other members of the crew. You've got Jessica Chastain as the commander. She brings lots of good steel to the role. You've got Kate Mara playing the sort of nerdy, sort of young, sort of programmer who does all of the tech stuff. You've got I'm going to butcher this name completely, Axel Henny. I think
you got that one right.
Yeah, and finally you've got Sebastian Stan as the other member of the crew. It is such a sort of. They all work in their own way, because obviously back home you've got Michael Penner as well.
Yeah,
he's in the crew as well, and they all work very well. But obviously back home you've got another amazing cast of characters. Sean Bean,
scene stealer,
who does have a lot of great scenes that I was not expecting. I mean, you would expect him to be he's become a bit of a self-in-joke now, really, of himself in recent years. So he has sort of lacked that bit of finesse that he's built his name on recently. So, but he is back in this. He's got plenty of screen time alongside other people such as Chiwetel Ejiofor, who has plenty of time. He plays Vincent Kapua, who's the sort of the head of the mission. So he has to sort of take charge and at them home. Donald Glover, who you may recognise from the rapping or comedy or other things,
otherwise known as Childish Gambino.
Has a few scenes as sort of the young spark, I guess that's the way to put it.
The young little genius.
Yeah, the young little genius.
Well, last time when I came out, it's Troy playing Arbed.
Yes, he's sort of it's like a prospect or something. Like he's very good there. But the whole cast works so well, because as they sort of you get the scenes, you get plenty of scenes on home at the home world as you do at Mars. So you really do get the sense that this is a collaborative effort. That they're all trying to push and pull in different directions, but they're all working at that same thing to bring them home. You do get a real sense of scope in this. I think it was a really good sort of. There were some obvious CGI moments in it, but you do get plenty of time to sort of. This is us. You can see where it is. We're on Mars now. It's cold. It's isolated. It's the red planet for a reason. It's washed out with dust and dirt and horribleness, and you can definitely you get the sense of that, because there's plenty of sort of establishing shots and tracking shots that get you the vastness and sort of the massive sort of helplessness of being lost on. You really do get to feel that through the emotion that Matt Damon brings in the role. But as I said, he is just so irrepressible in the fact that he is completely positive all of the time. And obviously Jessica Chastain's the one who has the disco music, and it's left behind. It's that's sort of all her disco music, and he constantly makes remarks on how terrible it is. But it just fits so well with the tone of the film because Matt Damon is so irrepressibly likeable and funny, constantly making wisecracks, you know. And I think they sort of knew, because they do make like an Iron Man gag.
Yeah.
Like, because you feel a bit like you put Robbie Downey Jr. in there to be a bit like that, because he is wisecrapping and quipping all the time. He's constantly upbeat, and that made a refreshing change from what I was expecting. Maybe was going to be a bit dour and sort of like, well, I'm going to die here, so I better consign myself to it. No, he's constantly fighting for his life. He's constantly thinking, I'm going to survive here, and it's just a testament to Damon's skill that he can sort of stand out from such a massive cast. Sean Bean obviously has a few great scenes, like I said. Chiwetel Ejiofor steals the show a lot of the time. Jessica Chastain is obviously Mrs. Dependable now, but the whole cast just shine all the way through. And Mackenzie Davis as well has a few good scenes, sort of a coordinates sort of specialist back home on Earth. So she has a really good few scenes, and I think the whole cast work enough well in tandem to be strong enough to bring sort of the tone and the story together to make a satisfying whole. And I think this is probably Ridley Scott's best work in a good decade or two. Probably the best way to put it.
A good decade or two. It's true. It is true.
Joe, absolutely go see it.
Joe, I'm going to come to you because I didn't actually get a chance to hear what you thought last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I can't really think of anything negative with it, to be honest. I mean, it's just really nice to see a science fiction film that isn't so dour. That has a bit of humour to it. I mean, for such probably one of the horriblest situations you'd ever get in. It's really well.
It deals with it in a nice way.
That's pretty much all I'm thinking of, really, because I mean everything's just fine.
Really, that's the thing. I couldn't think of anything negative either.
Like Scott's direction's just fine. Story, obviously, it's off the book. You can tell it's a literary adaptation because that's all. It's nothing massively cinematic that likes 2001 and Interstellar and all that, but it's still just a brilliant story. I think that's all I can kind of say about it. I can't really think of anything else.
I'm kind of the same, but all I know is that I left it feeling very happy. Like I just left it feeling like, yes,
just a nice little story.
Yes,
happy. Just like it's the worst feeling seeing a film that you've been really hyped for and just feeling like sort of. I think it's even bad to come out of feeling sort of on the same sort of level as you go in. I think like it's nice when a film just like exceeds already high expectations. I did legitimately
get a bit of a lump in the throat at the end because I know
it's really sad.
There's a lot of like sort of storytelling cliches within the story, but like you do get a sense of the majesty and the grandness. Like when the story comes to a head, you really do get the sort of sense of scope and scale that everyone has been fighting for back home and on Mars, and you really do get the sense of that. And I think it really worked in its favour to have all of the cast working in such tandem that it did have such an effect on you. You know, I'm not saying it is probably one. I mean, it's better than the majority of the crap blockbusters we saw over the summer. It definitely feels like. Does it feel? It did feel like a summer film. I would definitely say this being like obviously, but it's come out at the perfect time, really, hasn't it?
Well, I'm glad it came out now because
before Spectre and Star Wars and after all the summer stuff, so it has landed in the perfect time, and I think this will definitely bring about a lot of faith back in Ridley Scott. You know, and then he's going to lose it all again after Prometheus 2. Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost. It is a bit of a worry because I think this is a really good return to form.
Yeah,
and then he's gonna go and make.
I want to make more original stuff. Well, this isn't original, but you know what I mean, like original cinematic stuff. But it's just you can tell this is a weathered, experienced director, you know, who knows his stuff, knows how to. I mean, he obviously has been criticised a lot for style over substance, but definitely I think now that he has a tight story behind him by screenwriter Drew Goddard, he can definitely flourish with what he knows and what he's good at, which is telling the story visually and having all of these vistas, having the landscapes, and being like, wow, we're lost on Mars. Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that was wow.
Interestingly, Drew Goddard was supposed to direct. He'd written the script and was supposed to direct, but he had to drop out because of,
Sinister Six.
No, some kind of.
That would have been the original commitment.
I think he's doing Daredevil series. I think he's the showrunner on Daredevil.
Right, fair enough.
But anyway, the script is fantastic, and Ridley Scott comes in and gives it a bit of a.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, some people will probably be annoyed by the style that it is just constantly like addressing the camera. That he is constantly making. It is basically like a vlog essentially a lot of the time.
Well, that's the thing. The performance has got a lot of praise from astronauts who've said it's they're glad that they didn't play it up for this sort of I'm stuck on Mars. Like he was resourceful. He was funny.
Yeah.
You know. And he was able to sort of live with himself.
Yeah.
Like he was stuck there on his own. He didn't start getting like.
It was so nice to look at, like all of the time.
skittish. He was just
Like
always
the Earth scenes were so
thinking.
clean. The base scenes and the space scenes were so nicely put together. You know, it was great set design, great sound design. Really, it had a lot of stuff going for it, and I was really impressed with a lot of them. And obviously, there's nothing groundbreaking there, but it's incredibly solid. You know, it's just a really fun time.
It's just a solid film.
Yeah,
Really,
it's just
very
just
solid.
solid.
Not nothing
good job,
overtly
Ridley.
negative, nothing overtly great. Just
Yeah.
a hell of
Good
a
job, Ridley.
Good little film to watch.
Good
I
job.
think.
It's true.
Good job.
I couldn't find anything negative about it at all. But then walking home, I think I've got a cold. So I think
So that's your negative.
That's my negative. I walked
So now
home
it's gone
Yeah.
down to like a 6
and I've got the sniffles.
Tell my flat I never stop burning.
to get home.
No, it's a very good film. I would urge.